So find yourself into a seated or lying down position. It's really wherever's most comfortable for you. A sitting practice is great. It strengthens the muscles in your back. You're using the muscles in the core to sit upright. But, you know, this is a beginning meditation. So you want to be fairly comfortable. And so once you've found yourself into a position, you can be still. And if you are seated with the legs crossed, I can see some of you, the knees are quite high. If you sit on a cushion, it will help, or a couple of cushions, it will probably make it more comfortable for your hips. Because this position, I mean, this is quite the hips have to go out. Not all hips like going out for biomechanical reasons and muscle reasons. So it's just taking the pressure off the hips. So you'll close your eyes and just be still. Close your eyes and begin to connect with your body. Yin yoga that we're practicing this morning, it is a meditative practice. As with all yoga, it's really, everything is happening on the inside, and it's quite different to any other exercise where like you do more and you get more. Especially with flexibility and range of motion, actually less is more. Moving more slowly in and out of the poses, you know, doing less, so feeling maybe a little bit less is good, because if we try and force the body open, we're likely to create more tension or an injury. We're holding these poses for quite a long time. I would expect than you would usually hold a stretch. So go in at about 50% and move towards your edge, that edge of resistance, that edge of holding, of tightness in the tissues. You can move towards that really intense sensation and stretch. So hopefully now your body is really settling into stillness. You're taking a few more deep breaths to draw you into your feeling body, away from the thinking mind, and knowing that you set aside this hour for yoga. So hopefully this hour will be yours. And if any external distractions come to you, thoughts and things and lists, you can just allow them to pass by. You might have an intention, a reason why you're here on your mat this morning, maybe a way you'd like to feel, part of your body you'd like to focus on today. Just bring that into your mind. And then when you're ready, you can blink your eyes open. And if you are lying down, then you're going to roll over to the side and come to seated. And if you are seated, you can change the cross of your legs. If it gets too much, you can uncross the legs, have the legs straight. Yeah, you can't see my legs, you don't really need to. So legs crossed, legs straight, one leg crossed. It doesn't really matter how you sit, but you're sitting upright. So you're going to take the hand forward, and we're just going to begin stretching the fingers. So pulling one finger back. So we're beginning to get into the fascia of the hand, you know, not trying to do anything crazy, just feel a stretch through the fingers. Really nice. I know a lot of people are on keyboards a lot, probably on phones more as well, because everything now is online. So on the other hand now, just gently pulling back. The arm is extended straight. Who is that? Is that Adele? Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, great. Really nice. Yeah. So you're just gently stretching out the fingers. Really nice. So from here, you're going to make a fist, with the hand, and then you pull the skin tight. I call this ET head, and then you bend the hand over. So you're stretching through the tissue at the back of the hand. It should feel nice. Moving the hand a little bit. And then we do the other side. So make the fist, pull the skin tight, and then bend the hand over. Really good. Feeling a stretch through the back of the hand, maybe moving the hand a little bit side to side. And then shaking the hands out. Really nice. So we're going to hold these arm positions for 1 to 2 minutes. I'll see how everyone looks. So don't smile if you're in pain. You're going to take the left arm and bring it underneath the right, and you're going to pull the right arm across. So you're pulling the right arm across your body. For some people, this is going to be enough, just pulling the arm across, and you're going to feel a lot. All right. For others, now you've got your elbows either side, so you might bring the hands like this, arms like this. And for others, you might do the double one, you might end up with your hands together. This will depend on a lot of things, not just shoulder flexibility. Yeah, you could hold your shoulders like that, but also the length of your arms. So from the side, it looks like this. So you could have the elbows lower down. You could have the elbows higher up, probably no higher than your shoulders. And then with the hands, we're drawing them away from the face. That will make it more intense. And the stretch is in your rhomboids, the big flat muscles across the back. That's where we're aiming at here. So I'm just going to start the timer. We'll say, let's try and do a minute. Let's do a minute and then see how we go from there. Breathing in, really nice. And if you've been doing a lot of upper body strengthening, it's probably going to feel quite intense, but it's just what the arms need. Really good. Slow, relaxed breaths as much as you can. And if you can lift the breath up into your chest and really breathe deeply up into the chest, into the upper back, you'll begin to pull on the tissue from the inside out. Really good. You're 30 seconds in. And so even though we're not doing a lot in yin yoga, there will be mental challenge, and the physical challenge is the sensations we create in the body. If there's pinching, if there's pain, then you should come out. You should move away from that. If there's discomfort, then you hopefully can sit with that. Obviously, any little ones joining in, you don't have to reach any discomfort. Definitely no pain. It should feel really good. Lovely. We're over a minute already. So you're welcome to come out. If you want to go for 2 minutes, then you can stay there. It's completely up to you. Breathing in, breathing out. I know it's intense, and it's not, you know, it's not a test. It's nicer, I think, when you're at home, especially when you're in a big group class. There's usually more people just trying to hold it. Lovely. Last 30 seconds. There's about 5 slow breaths. Remember, you can come out at any point. And so when we do release the hands, you're going to release the hands and just push your arms out to the side. Really good. Relaxing those shoulders behind. So we're going to do the other side. Right arm comes underneath to pull the left arm across. So you could be here and you can stay here. You could be here for maybe a minute and then maybe see if you can then cross the arms. So maybe you're just hooking the elbows. Stage 2. And then eventually maybe the hands come onto each other. Really good. And of course, you're tying your arms in a knot. So it is quite an unnatural position. Remember, the elbows can either be a little bit down, up. So, you know, there's no correct place. It's wherever it feels right for your body. And then the hands might come forwards if you need to. So you could be there as well. Lovely. Long breaths in. Long breaths out, really good. So we're doing the other side. This is one of my poses that I really would recommend to people to do every day, no matter what you do, whether you sit at a desk, at a computer, whether you're picking up babies, small children, whether you're doing things at the gym, anything that you do, this is going to feel really good to release through the upper back, because this is the place where we hold the most tension. You know, all the ribs are meeting the vertebrae. Stay with your breath. You've had 45 seconds already. Remember, you're in control of these poses. So yes, I encourage you to feel some strong sensations. But if it becomes too much, then of course you're coming out, or maybe just taking a step back, taking one of the other options for the shoulders. You could be here. Really nice, breathing in. As we release tension from the back, from the shoulders, it will help release tension from your neck. So you've had a minute and a half. You've got 30 seconds to go if you would like. If you've come out, that's fine. Just sit and breathe. Really good. 2 deep breaths. And then when you're ready, you can release. Push those arms out to the side, and it will feel a bit like, achy in your shoulders. That's good. So we're going to come into our toes, tucking the toes under, pushing back. Now, actually, if this is a position where you can't sit on the heels, then either kneel or stay sat as you were before, because I want to do one more position with the arms. So you're sat here, and I'm bringing my arms behind. So I'm holding on to the elbows and squeezing the shoulders together. So from the back, I'm drawing the shoulders back and down. Okay, so that from the front, we get this moving back and down of the shoulder. So really we're stretching through these 3 little muscles at the front of the chest. So I'm rolling the shoulders back and down. And if it's appropriate for your knees and your toes, it will be quite strong on your toes. Then you're sat on your heels, breathing in, breathing out. Okay, so I've got my toes tucked underneath. Really nice. We're not going to time this one. This one's quite intense, I'd say, to do for 2 minutes. And where you should be feeling it, I would say top of the shoulder. And obviously your toes. Really good. You know it's a good pose if I'm joining in. Can't miss out on these. So good for your shoulders. Breathing in. Breathing out. Really nice. Just a couple more breaths. Of course, you're welcome to come out at any point. So first you're going to release the arms, then you're going to release the feet, just tapping those feet out. Really nice. So option 1 is feet together, knees go wide, child's pose. This is a lovely pose for the inner thighs. Second choice is hands hip, shoulder width apart, lifting up, tucking those toes, downward dog. Be careful of shoulders here. It's quite an extreme movement for the shoulders. So if your shoulder doesn't like going up above your head, it won't like downward dog. And in fact, even in a child's pose, it might prefer elbows bent. Okay, I'm just going to have a look where you are. So you can be sat on your heels, child's pose, or you can have the toes tucked under, lifting the hips up, downward dog. And if you're in downward dog, you might bend one knee and then the other. So you're really feeling the calf muscles, lovely stretch through the calf. Really good. It's a really nice stretch for the back as well, which is the same as your child's pose. That will stretch the back. Really good. Slow, relaxed breaths. Lovely. So then from there, if you've had the hips down, you're lifting the hips up. We're coming all the way up to stand. So if you're in downward dog, you can walk the hands and the feet together. And we're going to come to dangling. So dangling, you want your feet mat width apart with the toes turned in. If you have very low blood pressure, you might not want to hold this for the full 3 minutes. You might want to sit down and I'll give you another pose. So you bend the knees, and that's important. Very sensitive back or recently injured back, you're here, okay? You see my back is in line, elbows resting on the knees. Otherwise, you can begin hanging forwards, relax the head. If this is enough, stay there. If not, hold on to your elbows, all dangling there. And the important thing is, there is a bend in your knees, okay? And so if none of those work for you, come out of the pose, give me a wave. So this is for your hamstrings, for your lower back, but also when you come into that full dangling position, even if you're resting elbows on the knees, it's great for your neck. Just putting pressure on the discs from the opposite direction, giving them a break. Really nice. You've had nearly a minute already. Eyes open or closed. On the exhales, you might like to think about what the lower abdominal muscles are doing, gently squeezing in and up through the lower belly just to support your spine. And for those of you with long hamstrings, so you've stretched the hamstrings quite a lot, you may end up with your legs straight. But it's really important that when the legs are straight, you've really still got the tummy on the thighs. Okay, that's important. And if you want to make it really intense, whether the knees are bent or the legs are straight, you could interlace your hands together and bring the arms over the head. Obviously, again, be aware of shoulders injuries here, because it's a weird position for the shoulders and the arms to be in. So lots of options. Do the one that best suits your body. Really nice. So we're nearly at 2 minutes, just past 2 minutes. And it will feel weird to hang upside down for 3 minutes if you don't usually do that. Stay with your breath. Remember, you can rest the elbows on the knees. Keep those knees really deeply bent as well. Lovely. And so from here, we're coming down to the mat. So bend your knees, put your hands down, put your knees down, and we're coming down to lie on our front. So you can lay on your front and rest your head on your hands. Gently rock those hips side to side. Really good. So we're going to come into a chest stretch. So you may be able to follow my instructions. If you're not sure, then you can watch. So best angle is probably here. So some people will have their arms straight. Okay, shoulder is close to the floor. Your chest is on the floor. I feel more if I bend the arm and have my elbow a little higher than the shoulders. So it would look like that. Okay. And then I use this other hand to push over to that side. You might want a cushion under the head. You might be able to lift this top leg up, bend the knee, and put the foot down behind you. Okay? And then some people will even reach that arm back, not me. Okay? So either the arm is straight or the arm is bent. And if you feel pins and needles in your arm, then you need to roll out of it and move. So if it was here, maybe move it back down or there. So move the position of your arm, because if you're feeling pins and needles, you're just touching a nerve and you don't want that. Great. So feeling a stretch. Lady on the red mat. So I'm not sure about that way. You want to have your arm out to the side, not out in front of you. Yeah, I would bend your elbow like that and lay on your front. So the chest is down and you're just coming over like this rather than up away from the floor. Yeah. Yeah, that's better. Do you feel that? I'm just trying to see who are you? Ellen. Yeah, do you feel that one? No. Roll back down so you're lying on your front and get your head down as well. And take your arm more out to the side so that the chest and the shoulder comes onto the floor. Yeah, that's it, and roll from there. Yeah, there. So really you're keeping that shoulder as close as you can. So then bring the arm back, bring the leg back. If you've just got there, you can stay there. Maybe it's not a very tight part of your body, and then come all the way back to center. You can rest the head on the hands, take a little pause. And so then we'll come into the other side. So you're taking that other arm out. So my shoulder is down on the floor. It's pretty close to the floor. And as I roll over, it's staying close to the floor. Really trying to keep my head lying down on the floor as I come into that stretch. Okay. Lovely. So one side may be different. You may need to adjust the position of the arm to feel it. Really good. You take a minute or so here as we did on the other side. Breathing into the front of that shoulder, into the pecs, the chest. Remembering if you feel any pins and needles, just roll out of the pose, adjust the position of your arm. Really nice. Taking 3 last breaths. Once you finish those breaths, slowly and gently rolling yourself back down. Head is resting on the hands, taking a little pause there. If you have disc issues in the lower back or a very tight lower back, then you're probably going to stay here, head on the hands, for a minute. Otherwise, you can begin bringing those elbows under your shoulders, Sphinx Pose. So it's an extension for the back, a back bend. If this is too much, you bring your elbows forwards a little bit. You can protect sensitive backs by really squeezing the glutes. That makes it less yin-like. So I'd say, yeah, if the back is sensitive, just stay head on the hands. So from here, you're really pulling on the hands to pull the chest forwards, lifting the chest up. This is a really lovely way to stretch through your core, through the abdominal muscles. And if you can breathe down into your belly, send the breath down into the tummy. You're going to just encourage a lovely flow of new blood around your intestines, the digestive system. Now, you're welcome to stay here. There will be a little bit of compression in your back, that's fine. If your back is happy and healthy, you could turn the hands out. You can straighten the arms. So obviously this is making it a deeper back bend. It also means that your arms are taking your weight. Okay, so yes, your arms are going to get tired. You can stay here though, breathing in. We're going to take a minute here. Breathing out. And you know, if you come up, doesn't mean you have to stay there for the entire minute. You can always come back down again. And again, Sphinx pose, that's on my list of poses to do every day. Obviously not if it aggravates a back injury, but it is, I would call it slip disc prevention pose, because you're just taking your spine into the extension, because most of the time it's rounded. Really good. You're halfway through that minute. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out, breathing anywhere into the front of the body. Really good. If the mind wanders, bringing it back to your breath. So come down onto the elbows, and then from the elbows, come down, rest your head on your hands. Pause there for a moment. And then from there, moving yourself back through your tabletop, through all fours, knees together, feet together. You can always put cushions between thigh and calf muscle to protect the knees. And you're coming into a child's pose, rounding the back. Head could be down, arms can come alongside your body. Just letting those shoulders roll forwards. Really nice. Feel the point where your forehead meets the earth. Feel that connection to the earth beneath you. Yoga, breath work, mindfulness, it's bringing us into the present moment. So it really cultivates a sense of groundedness. It's bringing us into our body. Hopefully creating a little bit of space and clarity in the mind. Our next pose, we're coming into the hip flexors and the quads. Okay, so depending on what you've been doing with them, this could be quite intense. So remember, begin comfortable. There's quite a lot of ways to do these poses. So for some people, the best way is just to lie down and hold a foot and do it in this way. Okay, so that I would say is like a modification. You'll want a cushion or a block under the knee. You can take dragon pose. So I'm just leaning forwards. Some people feel more with their hands down. Okay, and eventually with that one, you keep the same hand as the foot you're going to take and you lean forwards. Okay, now I feel a lot. Okay, so that's just the progression from there. If your knees are happy, you can also sit with your foot outside. My knees are together, so there's no gap there. You can sit on cushions if you need to, and then you can end up going back. Okay? So it's just another way of doing it, and you need to find the one which feels best. You never want to feel it pulling in the top of the knee. Okay, so you can lie on your front and take the foot behind. You can come into your dragon, your low lunge. Really good. So if you're grabbing the foot, yes, with that hand. And remember, we're going to have 3 minutes. I didn't tell you, but we are going to have 3 minutes. It's always a long one. So just feel about 50%. Okay, and actually, for those of you that are very open and you have something that you could prop yourself up against, there is King Arthur's pose. So let me just, a cabinet is okay, but you need to have the foot against something. So I move back so that that knee is right on the floor next to the wall or a cabinet, and the other foot's forward like a low lunge, and then I move back. And I'd say this is the most intense. The weight's going down through the knee joints, so obviously if you have injured knees, it's probably not the pose for you. Yeah, lovely, Ellen. Yeah, and then just move yourself back so your your bum is close to the heel. Yeah, more back. And I'd move your front foot back as well. So in the end, you're sort of right back against the cabinet. Lovely. Should we say that was about 30 seconds? Probably nearer a minute. Really good. And I know this one is intense. So yes, acknowledge the sensations in your body. Maybe don't focus on them too much. Focus on your breath, and it's those long exhalations which is what are going to open and soften the body. Really good. And you might find that the sensations actually move from the quad up to your hip flexor, maybe encompass everything at the front. Yeah, you might feel it back there in the glute of the supporting leg as well. Yes. And so if you're in the dragons, the low lunges, leaning forwards is going to deepen the stretch. If you're in the other ones, it will be leaning back, is going to be deepening the stretch. And eventually, wherever you are, apart from lying down on your back, lifting the arms also will make it more intense. If you're holding a foot, obviously, keep holding the foot, and to make it more intense, your elbow will go down on the floor. Options. If you think I'm feeling more than enough where I am, then please stay where you are, and it's absolutely perfect there. One of my favorite yin yoga quotes, Bernie Clark, love Bernie Clark. You want sensation, but it doesn't have to be sensational. Really good. 5 breaths. You're welcome to count your own 5 breaths. 5 of your slowest, deepest breaths. And once you've taken those 5 breaths, so coming out nice and slowly, if you're lying on your back, then come up to seated and roll away from that knee that's underneath you. Great. Any counter pose, lie flat on your front, lie flat on your back. You can take a downward dog, any pose that isn't stretching that hip flexor really. Just to take a pause before we find our way into the other side. And that's a sign of a good yin pose, is there's a little bit of a oof when you come out. So we'll come into the other leg. So you're stretching the other thigh. So either you're in your low lunge. If you're taking a foot, it's usually easiest with the opposite hand. Okay, if you're going back against the wall, you're moving back, and yeah, if you're sat with the leg out behind you, it's out to the side, no discomfort in the knee, really important. Love your knees, you only have 2, and if you might know, but I mean, I've done it in the past, if you aggravate your knee, it's grumpy for a while. Really good. So if you're not able, you're not feeling it wherever you are, just give me a wave. And then we'll settle in 3 minutes. I've started the timer, good news. Be a true 3 minutes. So feel your body. Acknowledge where the sensation is. Where are you sending the breath? Move into the pose enough to feel it. 50% is good. You can stay at that 50% the whole time. And it's the nicest and maybe the most challenging part of yoga, because only you know how it feels. And so it's hard for me to tell you exactly where you need to go. And that's why it's really a lifetime's practice. It's finding your edge, finding just the right shape, variation of a pose to put your body in. And you just have to feel your way in, really, and become really aware of the sensations from your inner body. There's a lot of research done now on the fascia, the connective tissue that we were talking about last week, that holds everything in your body together. You're halfway through, saying that this is like our sixth sensory organ, the fascia, the connective tissue. And the ability to feel those very deep sensations, you need to practice. Interoception is the word, big long word. Feeling the inside, feeling sensations of the connective tissue. You're doing really well. And if it's your right leg, I know it's a lot worse on one side than the other. You can do it. Just hang back from it a little bit if you need to. Focus on the breath. I know. I think it's the only yoga pose I've really cried in was dragon. I was like, I want to come out. It was the other leg. You're going to count 5 breaths, 5 slow breaths. Once you've taken those 5 breaths, you'll very slowly move yourself out to lying on your front or lying on your back. And we take the rebound, we take a pause. Take a pause to feel the front of the body. We've been connecting with the chest, the abdomen, and now the quads, the hip flexors. You're really waking up, becoming aware of those areas of your body. So we're going to take a nice long hold for your glutes. And I think a lot of you so you're going to get to know these poses, hopefully, if you come each week. So you've got your traditional pigeon pose, which is fine, but it's not usually held for such a long time. So for a lot of knees, holding this for 5 minutes is not the best thing to do. So the yin variation of that is deer pose. So you see, I'm actually sat on the hip that I'm going to open with my shin parallel to the front of the mat. My shin is at a right angle. And we're going to start here with this one. And then if it doesn't work for you, I'll start giving other options. This knee can either be close into the foot or further back. Now, if you're really leaning over to the side, some cushions or a block underneath that hip will help bring you more upright. And the leg can go all the way back. And so then we're turning towards the leg and folding forward. So now I can feel it back side of the hip. Okay, so on this leg, I'm feeling it along there. You could be a little more over to one side or a little more over to the other. You can play around with that. Now, does that not work? I can see somebody more in traditional pigeon. So have a look at your front leg, and it needs to be at a right angle. So that shin really parallel rather than into your heel. Great. Who is that? Tracy. Yeah, Tracy, bring your front foot forwards more. Oh, does that feel all right? So you've got it a bit more like that, and you want it more like that. Or back. So you've got it at a right angle, thigh forwards, and then the other one there. Oh, it might have been your camera angle, sorry. Yeah, oh, that's it. Yeah, that's perfect. Sorry, I think it's the view. Great. Is everybody happy there? Now, folding forwards to feel it. And if you don't, then you can come out and give me a wave. If I don't respond to the wave straight away, I might have been looking at a different part of the screen. Lovely. So settling in. And so I was speaking a little about the Meridian Lines in the last few classes, and Yin Yoga has its roots in Chinese medicine. It's kind of intertwined the yoga practice, meditation practice, and Chinese medicine. And so with the Meridian Lines, we're trying to excite the qi within those lines. And it's just a really nice reading that I wanted to give you from my a book, Yin Yoga by Paul Grilly, to really explain the energy in the body. There's been a lot of studies done on it as well. You can look up Dr. Motoyama. He's done a lot of studies on the chakras and the Meridian Lines. When Dr. Motoyama and other scientists conduct research on the flow of energy in the meridians, they do not directly measure the qi. They measure the electrical and chemical changes. So what is qi? Qi is the energy that coordinates the electrical and chemical changes that scientists measure. An analogy from modern physics might be helpful. When solar energy arrives on Earth and strikes the upper atmosphere, this energy becomes manifest as the movement of air. As these winds of air move over the ocean, they create waves of water. When these waves of water crash onto a beach, their energy becomes manifest as vibrations in the sand. The energy itself is not made of sunlight or air or water or sand, but it manifests its presence in the movements of these tissues of the earth. In a similar way, qi is not electricity or chemistry or emotions or memories or thoughts. But all of these things are the manifestations of qi in the different tissues of our three bodies. So you're halfway through. You don't necessarily need to adjust your pose in any way. You're probably feeling enough. If you're folding towards the floor, then the only way is down. You can always come closer to the floor to feel more. Really good. You've got 2 minutes to go. Stay with your breath. Stay in your feeling body of awareness and sensation. You've got 1 more minute there. It doesn't seem to matter how long a pose is, it's always the last minute or the last 30 seconds that's going to be the most challenging part. So you can count your last 5 breaths. Once you've taken those breaths, slowly coming up, and you'll want to roll over onto that hip that you've been stretching, bring the other leg forwards, and then just lying down on your back. You can bend the knees if you need to. Just taking a pause, taking a moment of stillness to let the blood flow back through that hip, because you've been compressing the joint. So we need to allow all the fluid to move again. From there, you might bend your knees. We take a few windscreen wipers of the legs, just rocking your knees side to side, getting a little internal rotation in the hips. And then when you're ready, you can roll yourself back up to seated, and we come into the other side. So the other leg is coming forwards. If you're following me, I'm doing my left leg now. Thigh parallel to one edge of the mat, shin parallel to the front. Remember, you can sit up on a prop if you're leaning over to the side a lot, and you can always move that knee back if you need to adjust the sensation. And then you're coming forwards. You know, for a lot of us, we don't actually need to come forwards very much at all, and we're already feeling it. If it doesn't work for your leg this side, then please give me a wave and we can adjust the pose. And one side, you know, the position of the leg, that back leg might be quite different. And it's really the target area. Are you feeling it through that glute, IT band area of your thigh and your hip? And if not, then that's when we need to adjust it. Really good. Then you're settling in. So we'll do 5 minutes this side, just as we did the other. Timer is on. Scan your body to feel, acknowledge the sensations. And then allow yourself to sink into the breath. You don't have to breathe in any special way. It's just that your awareness, all your mental focus is following every breath as it moves into your body. Maybe feeling it moving around the body and then back out again. You're fine-tuning your awareness. So you'll feel the most subtle sensations within. You'll begin to notice the breath, really notice your breath. Of course, there's an in and an out. There's also little pauses between those two main parts of the breath. So at the very top of the inhalation, there's a little pause, a moment of stillness before we feel the need to exhale. And at the bottom of that exhalation, there's also a little pause before the body takes in the breath. So become aware of those little pauses. Notice how it feels to observe the pauses, those moments of stillness within your breath. You've got 2 more minutes there. If your mind wanders, gently encourage it back. You're following your breath, nothing else. Got less than a minute to go. So just as you did on the other side, you're coming back up. You're rolling onto that hip to release the leg, and you're lying down on your back. So we'll take a rebound, but it's also going straight into the relaxation. So make yourself comfortable for your Shavasana. Blanket over you, cushions under the legs, cushion under your head. Shavasana, the final pose. The pose where we learn to do nothing. The pose where we find balance. Life can take us out of balance. Yoga can take us out of balance as well. So allow yourself this time, this pause. Let go of the breath. Let go of your body. This is a reading from Donna Folds. Let it go. Let go of the ways you thought life would unfold, the holding of plans or dreams or expectations. Let it all go. Save your strength to swim with the tide. The choice to fight what is here before you now will only result in struggle, fear, and desperate attempts to flee from the very energy you long for. Let go. Let it all go and flow with the grace that washes through your days, whether you received it gently or with all your quills raised to defend against invaders. Take this on faith. The mind may never find the explanations that it seeks, but you will move forward nonetheless. Let go, and the wave's crest will carry you to unknown shores, beyond your wildest dreams or destinations. Let it all go, and find a place of rest and peace and certain transformation. So you're going to begin deepening your breath. Take a few deep breaths and really feel the inhalations waking you up, allowing you to feel awake, refreshed. Begin to move your body, move the fingers and the toes, just small movements to begin with. Maybe stretching your arms over the head, stretching out through the whole of your body. Bending your knees, giving those knees a hug. Say thank you to your body. Keeping your eyes closed, you're going to roll over to one side. And eventually finding your way up to a seated position on the mat, sitting tall, any comfortable position. Not going to be here long. Sitting just as we started. Remembering the intention that you set. Remember that seed you planted at the beginning. And when you're ready, inhale, reach those arms up over the head, the palms touch. Exhale, thumbs to the crown of your head, your forehead, and then down to the mat. You can open your eyes. Namaste. You just